welcome again. Let's talk about the principle of engineering economy. Um, okay, engineering economy has some principles. If you use it, you have done a good work. We have 6 points. If you visit them well and you follow them well, it means you have a good economic work. The first point is develop alternatives. Again, alternatives means if you are assigned to a certain project, you have many alternatives to run this project. Which alternative will you select? You don't know, but you need to know all of the alternatives first. Then you need to focus on the differences. Okay, we have alternatives. Each of them have some difference. They have difference among each other. You need to focus on this. Just focus on these differences. Once you know the differences, you need to use a consistent viewpoint. A consistent viewpoint means that you have differences, but if you just compare between different machines, it doesn't mean that you compare. If you compare on monetary way, so this is consistent, but you compare this monetary way, you compare this engineering way, you compare this like performance way, this is not inconsistent, and you need to unite your viewpoint. The fourth point is use a common unit of measure. Okay, once you start to use engineering economy, so something you buy from you buy from US, something you buy from Germany, something you buy from China. Every one of them have different monetary basis, so you need to use a common measure such as dollars, something like this. Make risk and uncertainty explicit. Usually when you just get the bulk materials of anything, you don't consider the uncertainty happens during the project. So you should use this during your analysis. Finally, you got the decision, but it doesn't mean that you got the correct or the right decision. You need to revisit these decisions again to make sure that you are doing well. So again, we have some economic analysis or engineering economic analysis procedures, and usually engineers have some process in designing a new product or even developing a design of an existing product. So if you just see or looked at this table, you will see that our first point is problem definition, and problem definition is almost the same. Development of feasible alternatives is almost the same. Problem needs formulation and evaluation. Feasible alternatives means the same, almost the same. And development of outcomes and cash flows. This is in economic. Now we change what we understand from alternatives, the evaluations, the problem definition to monetary way, cash flows. But here we just try to find the solutions, the possible solutions in different designs. In the fourth point in engineering economic procedures, we select the criteria. I mean the criteria of comparison. We need to select a certain criteria. It's almost here, not the same, but at least we do the analysis based on the design we decided to start to do our work. In the fourth one, we have analysis and comparison of alternatives. So we start to, compare between alternatives. Almost the same in the fifth point in the engineering design. Selection of preferred alternative. Again, once you specify the preferred alternative, it's almost same as selection of preferred, but here depend on design merits and here in economic merits. Okay, performance and monitoring. Again, we said this is one of the top points in our engineering economics. It doesn't mean that when you select certain alternative, you have selected the correct alternative at all, but it means that you try to do your best to select the best alternative. So you need to perform monitoring and post evaluation even after you select the alternative, just to make sure that you have done well. Again, this happens in the design. You just communicate in the organization and even with customers to make sure that the design is acceptable for the customers. What next? Let's see our flow chart on our engineering economy class. First, again, define the problem, know the objective, collect the data to know the alternative for solutions. We have many approaches to major objectives, so we have many alternatives. So we do the cash flow. Okay, the cash flow usually contains expected life, so N number of years, revenue, how much will you gain, cost, how much will we pay, taxes, how much will we pay for government, project financing, like labor cost and documentation and all of this. This is financing for the project. Then, once you make the cash flow, you draw the cash flow, you have some measures of worth. You start to compare between the alternatives. So you select your measure of worth. Once you select that measure of worth, you do your engineering economic analysis, but you need to consider this. If you have some non-economic factors will affect your project, you do some sensitivity analysis to just measure between different factors which affects your analysis, and the risk analysis based on what will happen and what if you do something, will it be risky or not. Once you do the engineering economic analysis, you start to select your best alternative selection. Again, it doesn't mean that you have done the full work, but you need to monitor, implement, and see whether you have done this work again right or not. Okay? Application. Let's take this application in the next video.